Hi everybody, Gisele Grenier here from ArtPlace.ca. For today's workshop, it's more of a technique workshop. I'm going to show you how to do an image transfer using a skin. Now, I am keeping this one fairly simple so you can get more practice on making the actual skin. And basically it's just another way how to collage material onto your piece, and you know, it's great with photographs, line drawings and stuff like that. Now basically I already have one prepared, but what I did is I have this piece here, and this one I printed off on an inkjet printer. This is just one of the many different techniques. The one thing with image transfers, they don't always work, so don't expect perfection when you're doing an image transfer. There's one that I'm doing now, can be done by anybody. If you have an inkjet printer, kids, anybody can do it. There is one I'm going to demonstrate in another video, which is more for adults because you have to use solvent. So with this here, basically, it's the medium is applied to the photograph, let to dry for 24 to 48 hours. Then you rub the paper off, and I'm going to show you how to do one. But the first thing I need to do, because there's drying time involved, I'm going to pick the background first, and I want to get the thing stenciled. So what I'm looking at, just fast forward here, is I need something that's actually going to show up quite nicely. Now when this goes on, we're going to adhere this with decoupage, that it will become more transparent. So in looking at this, we're also going to paint underneath here, so you're not going to see white. And I'm looking for something that's going to lend quite nicely to the photo. And this actually is quite nice. There's quite the contrast in here too. And I already have my sentiment picked out. This is actually quite nice, but oh, that's hard on the eyes. I'm thinking about this one here, and then we're going to knock down the vibrancy. I really, really like that. Not so much the color, but the strokes. So I think we're going to use this one here, and we're just going to knock that down. The other one I was thinking of was, see, if you put it in front of something, it shows through. So you can use that as well. The other one I was thinking of was this one, but I don't want to cover this. And then there was this one. Okay, this was actually quite nice, but I want to use that because it's one of the more challenging ones. The whole thing about this portion of the workshops, the Doug 2013, is doing our unusual genre, stuff that's different, out of the ordinary, not stuff that's comfortable and whatever. Okay, so we have this in place. So now what I'm going to do is, there's two transfer techniques I'm going to show you. I'm missing a photograph. I'm missing a photograph. I'm going to show you. Okay, I'll have to go find the. I'll have to find the photo. The transfer technique I'm going to show you is how to create a skin, and how to do a transfer directly onto a piece. So although this is very simple, there is a lot of drying time involved, so be prepared to spend a day to do this. You know, do it one day, then do the drying time on another day. I actually can show you on this. We'll just do the one step on that. The photograph for the demo technique doesn't really matter. So to do a gel, you could do it two ways. You can use something like a triple thick, and basically you just apply it. You apply it, you let it dry, another layer, let it dry. And with triple thick, it's probably about 3 layers. Okay? And when you let it dry, then you flip it over, wet your paper, and rub it, and then stuff comes off. You will have some paper showing through. The other method is to apply, let's say, something like decoupage right to this, turn it upside down, put it on your piece, burnish, and then rub off the paper. Okay, so this technique here that I'm going to show you, this one here, is this format. And although it is very simple, you do need a relatively flat surface. Now there's a gazillion different ways on doing gel skin, and what I would just recommend is just trying them all. Now I'm doing all this on inkjet paper, if you're doing anything with writing, it's going to be backwards. Okay, using the method of medium, flip it over and put it down. The gel skin transfer is ideal for this method because the writing is straight up and down. Now this one, I'm doing it with a fairly thick layer just to see what would happen. Now this will take a day to dry. One thing I haven't done, and I'm out of the product, I have to get some, is doing a gel skin with the crackle medium. Okay, so that's there. So we have to let that basically dry on a flat surface. So I'm just going to put that on my table. And when it's dry, this will be like a white sheet of paper. And all you do, now I like doing the final stages with a baby wipe, but all you're doing is basically just rubbing with your finger. And then I finish mine on with the baby wipe because I can see how much is coming off the baby wipe. And you just remove the layer of paper. Now when you remove the layer of paper, what you have to be careful of is that you don't press so hard that you actually tear the paper apart. Now this is a nice thick skin. This is 5 thin layers of the triple thick. And I like to finish it off with the baby wipe because I can gauge how much comes off. This is quite a fairly large skin. See, I can still see a little bit of paper coming off here. This is a fairly large skin. And I don't usually do them this big, but I wanted to really give me enough material to demonstrate with. And basically you just keep rubbing and rubbing and rubbing, and eventually what happens is that you're down to the actual gel. The paper has all come off, and you're down to the gel, and you will always have a little bit of paper left behind. You won't get it. You won't get it all. A lot of transfers are done using a toner, and there's a lot of different ways to do that. But not everybody can get to the photocopy shop. But this one I want to show you with this. I've also done inkjet transfers using Weld Bond glue, which also works well. Okay, so basically you just rub, 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 and then it's ready to go. And I like tearing off the edges here. So you can see how it's not tearing. This is the medium. And I like getting a rough tear on this. Just be careful how much you actually tear off. See, this one here has more paper left behind. So I can just, then just rub, rub, rub. And eventually all the paper will come off. Be very careful with the amount of pressure you use, especially when you're down to important edges, so you don't accidentally tear the piece. Then you can cut it, but I like painting the edges here. Now, when you're doing this, if you happen to get, so you've got your photograph, you're putting medium on here. If you happen to get some medium on the back side, that's when you get stuff like this. It's because there's actual medium on this side and this side, and it's not allowing anything to come apart. So unfortunately with this, there's nothing I can do. I'll just tear it. Or leave it the way it is, because it will add more interest to the piece. Okay, so that's that. And now what I want to show you is when we get to this part, I'm going to do it where we put the medium and then put it down on the piece. Okay, so there's 2 ways. But in order to do this, I need to do this first. So the idea for this is I'm going to knock this down a bit in vibrancy. We have the skin. Now this skin, don't forget, takes about, with the way that I just showed you with that piece of paper, that'll take a day to take place. So what I'm looking at is this here, and then I want to make, I may actually cut off her hair. And I was thinking about doing it maybe something like this, and having a stencil here or in the background. I'm not quite sure. The bird being here, and if I do it like that, then I'll have more room. So the stencil just behind her body. And then the bird coming down like this. And then I want to put the phrase. I got the phrase already written out. Let's see. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. That's from Eleanor Roosevelt. You can also embellish little things like this. This is from a die cut that a friend of mine sent me. You can put stuff like this right on top and you can paint it. You can do anything with this. But the primary focus of this workshop is basically the technique. So let's back this off. The unfortunate thing is that there's stuff that has to be done first before I can actually show you the technique. For paint, I'm using very simple paints. It's transparent yellow iron oxide, transparent red iron oxide, sapphire blue, and carbon black. Decor Art Traditions. And then I already showed you the first transfer using the triple thick. That's to make the skin, and there's a gazillion ways to do it. You just have to find the one that works for you. YouTube is a great place to get information on that as well. Alright, so as with all the videos, the supplies used are going to be listed at the end of the video, in addition with the actual Book of Backgrounds video that you will find this particular technique in. Brushes, just a few. My number 8 Bristol Bright for stenciling. I've got my fan for doing some washes, and this big brush which we'll use to apply the medium, and then a round brush for detail if need be. So I want to tone down this piece here, and I'm going to try it with transparent yellow iron oxide first. I'm not 100% sure how that's going to work, if it's going to give me what I want, but I don't want to lose the vibrancy of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix in an equal amount of glazing medium. That will make it even more transparent. It'll create a barrier coat. Barrier coats are, think of like thin pieces of acetate through each layer of paint, which allows more light to shine through and will make your painting more luminescent. When working with gel skin transfers, like this, because it's already a gel skin, there's already a layer in there. It'll just make everything really pop. Okay, so brush and water, and just getting that really fluid in there. Because I'm so limited on time, gel blending medium, extender and blending medium in this would be good, but it'll extend the drying time, and drying time is something I want it to dry fast for this. So that's why I'm using water. See the difference? It really knocks it down. Now, do I have anything important on that side? It's green. I can leave some of the pink showing through if I wanted to, which may not be such a bad thing. But anytime I work with images like steampunk images or vintage, I don't like anything too bright. The brightest thing that I'll actually work with is probably alizarin crimson permanent. But these bright hot pinks, no. There we go. Make it nice and soft. And that's the beauty when you're using paints like this. They add that beautiful layer of transparency, and you still see all your brush strokes underneath. That was the key. I didn't want to lose the strokes. And all I'm doing now is I'm just kind of going over it to make sure I don't have any extreme ridges of paint. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to dry this with the heat gun, and I'll be back in just a sec. Alright. Now I'm going to go over, basically repeat the same step now with transparent red iron oxide, but while we're here, I'm going to apply a very, 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 very washy layer to the outside. very washy layer, like really thin and transparent. And basically this is going to help me with the area, the images where the paper didn't quite come off. I'll paint her hair. Keep this really, really wet. This will add to the effect of the image a old style glow to her body. Keep it rough though, almost like a watercolor effect. But you don't want to use watercolors for this. You want to, okay, well that's not right. You can use watercolors if you want, but when you put the image down on, when we adhere it to our page, the watercolors will dissolve. So if that's the effect you're looking for, then fine. Not me, I want this with acrylics, I want it permanent. Just making sure everything is covered. I do see some little spots here which didn't take. Okay, I'm going to get a paper towel. And I'm going to lift this up and put that down like this. And I'll just move that aside to dry. And we're going to apply another layer of paint now to this piece. And we're going to do that with transparent red iron oxide, but not on the whole piece. We're only going to do, which way does this go? I don't remember which way this goes. If it's a journal page, she's facing this way, her eyes may lead you out of the piece. If you're doing this on a painting, it's fine. But if the page is this way, I think this is the actual side. Or is this the side? You know what? I don't remember what side this is supposed to be on. In a journal page, it's nicer if she's on the left, because then your eye will lead over two pieces. You know what? We'll do it this way. I don't remember. But now, in saying that, ooh, that's kind of neat. I don't want it to be too thick there. I don't remember if this is the left or the right side. And we're going to do 2 layers like this because I want to build up the glazing layers. And this side, I'm just going to kind of take my baby wipe and kind of get a little bit of a design going there. Then I'm going to dry this. Okay. Now I'm going to do 1 more layer. And all this, because of the glazing medium, all it's doing is just building up the richness of the page. Concentrate on the corner here. I'm not going to worry about this anymore because the transfer, the skin will cover that. A little bit of water. And if you get strokes of paint like this, that's fine. I actually enjoy that. All right. One more drying, then we can stencil. Okay. Let's get our stencil in there. This will be very subtle. We could... I'm going to have to do my writing in a black pen. So we'll see how the blue is. I'm not sure if the blue now is going to be the right thing to use. Sapphire blue is opaque. Not sure they're going to like that. Let me put some glazing medium in there. Now when you use glazing medium on top of a stencil, make sure you wash your stencil right away. Make sure you wash your stencil right away. That stuff is very, very strong. Making sure we're moving as much as possible. I'm going to try this first. I know you've got a glare. Nothing I can do about that. Yeah, that's actually quite nice. Okay, so we're good. Making sure that it does go in the holes of the stencil. And if you happen to put too much paint, you can always, while the stencil is still on, just wipe it off with a baby wipe. I want the slightest indication showing through the gel skin. I'm just going in circles just to get a crisper edge. Beauty. Now, before we even do anything, and this you got to work pretty fast. This the glazing medium, it forms a hard coating if left to dry. Although it's not going to hurt anything. It's just that if your glazing medium, if it's a blob, then you'll have a blob under your stencil. It's already dried. I can get most of it off with winning colors. There's a nice background. Here we go. Bring this back. That's it for the blue. We don't need any more blue. And now I'm going to apply the skin, and I'm going to use a decoupage mat finish for this. I don't have a little container for that. I don't want to use the lid because the paint will be wet. Oh, let's use the lid for my brush basin. Oh, there's a big hunk of dried stuff in there. So what we're going to do, I'm going to, let's see, well, first we have to make sure this is dry. Yeah, it is. That didn't take long at all. I'm going to take my fan brush, and now I'm going to apply a full coat. And I like using a For this here, I like using a bristle brush to apply. Because there's so much texture on here, this will get the medium into every little nook and cranny. And you can't use too thin of a coat because the gel skin is textured as well. You have to have 100% contact with everything. And yes, I could brush this on directly onto the skin, but it's too delicate to handle. And while we're at it, we might as well go over here as well, because we're going to be doing the little birdie. But I'm not going to do anything here. I'm actually going to wipe some of this back because I have to do some writing. I may write the quote with a printed, maybe with a stencil or a stamp or something. My writing is not very good. Now you only have one shot at this, so make sure it's right. I'm going to have her dress go over the edge. As well as her hair. And we want to make a good bond in here. Oops. She's crooked. Make sure her dress goes past the page. Get that skin on there. I'm burnishing to make sure I have complete coverage. Oh, there's some paper that's folded over here. Now I still have room to write. I'm going to get a baby wipe. Now I'm going to pull, and as I'm burnishing, the decoupage is coming out right here. So I'm just wiping that at the same time. Just make sure you have good contact. The other thing you can do to burnish is you can use scissors to burnish. You can also use, oh, if I can reach, an old driver's license. And just go always towards the outside. See here, you can see there's a lot here. Always go towards the outside and use as little pressure as possible so you don't tear. You can also, I don't know how many of you have this, a brayer. A brayer is actually good. Make sure you wash this though after. But a brayer will pull the medium right out, and then use a baby wipe just to clean it up. A brayer is the fastest. A brayer is the fastest. And I'm just going to push and wipe. That's why it's important for everything to be dry. Now, except here I've got the birdie that I'm going to be putting here. This is not adhering, this part here. It's not adhering very well. I should actually cut that off. Just avoid having any decoupage on your skin, because I did it with the triple thick, which is glossy. But you know, if it happens to be like that, then don't worry about it. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. Okay, for our little birdie, we still have time to work on that. I'm going to cut out the birdie. And because the background is a little dark, this birdie will just be a hint of an image. And you can get, I get like images like this from Dover, D-O-V-E-R publications. You can get them digitally. You don't even have to buy the books anymore. You can Google free printables, and you'll get a listing of websites where they have free images. Just make sure you read the terms of use so you're within the right guidelines. Just waiting for the decoupage to tack up a little bit. And wherever I want the birdie, I'm going to put it right here. This is critical that you do not get any decoupage on the actual bird, like the white part of the paper. I'm making sure that I'm wiping my fingers every single time. If you get any on the white of the paper, it won't come off. Now what we can do, there's been times where I've been able to do the image transfer right away. Sometimes you have to let the piece dry for a little bit. It all depends on the environment, what you used. Inkjet ones are a little bit harder to work with than laser, or toner base I should say. And all basically you're doing, now this is wet, but I don't know if it's wet from the baby wipe or wet from the medium. So it's going to be a hit and miss. Whoopsie. Well, that's a miss. I ripped off his wing. So let's see what happens with that. So now I'm going to let that dry. And this didn't take quite as nice as I was hoping. And now while this is tacked up a little bit, I can go over and touch this up, make sure I have a good seal. And you have to make sure your table is 100% clean if you put this upside down. You can't have any medium on here. And I'm just going to turn this over. And yes, you should wait for this to be dry. See, because now I'm cutting into the paper. That's okay. Sometimes paper is easier to cut when it's wet. Just make sure you clean your scissors from all that medium. There we go. All right, so we're gonna let this sit and dry for a few hours. Then when we come back, I'll rub this off to show you what we get, and then we'll finish this piece off. So now it's had a bit of time to dry. So now I'm just going to start, my finger was a little bit wet and I'm just peeling the back layer of the paper off. And I did check it just to make sure. You have to do this very, very, very slowly. And if you make the photocopy or the print on cheap photocopy paper, even better. The skin, this piece here will take about a day to dry. So we'll just get this piece done. And see how this isn't coming off? There's a little bit of medium, the decoupage there. Wet my finger a little bit more. And basically what you're going to end up being left with is just the print. As I'm peeling it off, there's the ink. See, there's medium here. This one's just, I'm fighting with this one. I don't know if that's going to come off. So I try to remove as much of the paper as possible, and then I go in with a baby wipe. We lost the poor thing's tail. It's because I was impatient. This one's not coming off that well. Okay, and I'm just going to wipe a little bit. Okay, I'm just going to dust this off and I'll let it dry for a sec. I had to take a bit of a break just to basically show you what not to do. Take your time when doing the rub off. We lost his face and we lost his tail. So how do we fix that? I'm just trying to burnish the rest of this out. How do we fix that? Well, since we have to do something with this edge here, okay, why don't we do something with tissue? And then I came across these and I thought, oh, we could actually just put one of these hanging out of the birdie's mouth. I was inspired by this one here. We could even do this one. Problem is with this one, because it's so thick, the book won't close. On an actual piece, on a canvas, that'd be fine. So I think I'm going to use these. I have a whole box of these really, really, really cool metals. We're going to be doing something with that. But I've got some really cool metal pieces, some very expensive. This is an actual lock. I got this from Lee Valley. It's actually with nails and everything. Going to do something with that. But you could, it's just a matter of just finding something. I don't want that butterfly. Yeah, not wanting a butterfly, that's odd for me. So I was thinking, well then, if I want to merge everything, how can I merge it? We're going to basically, probably going to lose the birdie. Tissue, because it becomes transparent. Tissue would be good, but I don't want this tissue. So we can make something from scratch, and we don't really need it to cover everything, but then I was thinking, if I'm going to do my writing here, it would be really nice to have a base. So what I'm going to do is just do it from this corner, actually from this corner, and I'm going to tear. I'm just going to tear the basic shape, because then what I can do is I can actually layer the pieces. I just want a general shape. And then I can layer the pieces. I just don't want anything straight. I want to make sure I have enough tissue, is what I'm basically looking for. And that's better. There we go. And this will just further add to the texture. So, and this is, I'm doing this because I wasn't patient enough with this. So we'll just collage it. And you want to know something? I know better to be patient. Like now. Yeah, that's not going anywhere. There we go. So now I'm going to have to get another piece. So that's something I can create an art piece about, is developing patience, because that is one thing that I am finding, because there's so many videos that I have to do, that I'm working a little too fast. And let's do something here. We'll get some beautiful layering here. Just make sure that your your stuff, your medium, is not contaminated with paint. And we'll let that dry. And just so the tissue doesn't look like it's just sticking out funny, I'll just layer it over some places. I don't like straight edges like that. I love that. It's going to be transparent, so you'll be all right. It just adds to the drying time. And you can collage as much of this as you want. The rougher the better. And you don't have to do this, I just want to. I was going over it thinking, you know what? This is going to make a better seal. It's going to make a really, really good seal on the skin, because the skin was quite a rough one. On top of that, I'm actually going to do a little bit of stamping. You can do this with stenciling or stamping. I just don't want to bring out my gel plate right now. So I'm going to use my StazOn ink. Being very careful with this because it is permanent. And I've got this little, oh, what is this one called? Clear stamp. I have no idea what it's called. It's just random words. Prima 550943. I don't even know. It's not even named. It's just little random words. I'm not even going to use an acrylic block on it. I may have to use it the way it is. Oh my god. One of these days, I'm going to rip one of these on camera because, again, I don't have patience for this. I get students, the face-to-face students say, if you don't have patience for this, how do you expect us to do it? Okay. So now I'm going to take this and I'm just going to randomly just put, these are just speckles of words and just blocky stuff. It's nothing, it makes no sense of what's on here because they're just random things. I'll do this one. Here. That's it. It's not really even important what the stamp is, it's just to get something down, just to create some contrast. I do have this piece here, and I like this butterfly. So I'm going to tear this, and I think I want to put that right here. And this will take, if you want to do it right, which is what I am going to do, you're looking at a day to dry. Especially for the skin, because the skin, there's no air coming through here to help it dry. There we go. It'll all be transparent. Just going to take this piece and put that here. Whoopsie. And I just thought of a perfect embellishment for this piece. I'm not going to use that bird cage. I got something else I'm going to use. I'm going to go take this to the very edge now. You can use gloss finish if you want. I find that anything that has gloss in it, the pages will tend to stick together. So I tend to prefer a matte finish. All right, get off me. I love using tissue collage of stuff that I've made myself. It doesn't cost anything other than your time. Well, mind you, you need stamps and stuff like that. But you can be so much more creative. I'm going to put this right here. I changed my mind. I'm going to put it somewhere now. Oh, here, let's put it here. And I was just thinking, because this is a matte finish, it's not going to dry. That won't work there. Oh, Mia. She's got a toy, and she can't get the cookie out of the toy. She cries. All right, well, good timing for Miss Mia, because now we have to let this sit and dry. So this piece is all dry now, and looks really pretty. Some parts are really transparent, some parts not so much, and especially around the edges where it overlaps here. So all I'm going to do now is just take some transparent red iron oxide and just go over the rest of the piece, and that'll tone everything together. This brush is too small. This brush is too small. I'll go to a large brush. There we go. That's a wrinkle. And so you don't have to fuss about going like this. You can cover the whole thing because we can always wipe it out. And you would just do this as many layers as you want. Just keep in mind that the more layers you do this with this additional layer, every layer will make your piece darker. And it just tones everything together. What's on the... Oops, I've got green on the back side. I gotta be careful. I've got to be careful. It's a bit late now, though. It's a bit late now. water. There we go. And the whole piece is toned. Now I can take a paper towel and I'm just going to wipe out her face where the light parts are, her hands, her dress, just like so. I don't want to wipe out any of the areas that have the white paper though. So it's unfortunate that, see, I can still see my little bird through here. It's unfortunate that my inkjet transfer didn't work out properly with that one. And it's the whole thing's about patience. That you need to have patience to do this. So I'm just going to dry this. Now when you're doing, using a heat gun and stuff like this too, I've covered this off a few times. You got to be careful anytime you do collage material that you don't actually melt the glue. Okay, all dry. You have to make sure this, for this part, it is dry. And I've got a Prismacolor Premier marker, and I just need to find the small side. And I've got a quote written. And then, what color is this? This is just brown, dark umber. I don't want anything too strong. I've got my quote written, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent, from Eleanor Roosevelt. There's a bunch of different ways that you can do the writing. I'm keeping mine simple, very, very simple. And I'm actually going to make it small because I want it to be really, really subdued. I was contemplating actually just doing it in her dress, but I want to try to do something here, right in the bottom corner. So I'm just going to very, very subtle. You can barely see it because the focus is on the girl. Let's see if I can bring a close up here. Here we go. Very, 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 very subtle. Because the artwork is about the girl. So there we go. Anyway, so there's a couple of little things that I've learned along the way with this. I've done inkjet transfers so many times, and I'm learning something new every single time, and the big one is patience. Now, this is a skin, so with the inkjet transfer is the patience, but then the skin was quite rough and bumpy, and that's because the paper is really, really cheap. Now, you can do skins on glass and stuff like that. That's for another video, but there's, this feels like an air bubble, but it's not. It's a when the skin, when the paper wrinkled, the medium kind of pocketed into that area, and that's what that is here. Because I tried putting a pin in it and it doesn't do anything. It's an actual pocket of medium. But it's fine. Beautiful page. Love the look of the girl. Love all the stuff behind. I really like this page, except the glare. So I hope that you give this a shot. I would love to see your pictures. If you have any questions, visit me at ArtPlace.ca. You can contact me there. And I will have to see you next time. Now what I'm working on, let's see if I turn around and I see, oh, the next page is about fudge. So until then, stay inspired.